Hey everybody, welcome back to the NC State Insider Podcast. I'm your host and lead beat writer, Tucker Sennett, joining you here tonight after NC State's second win of the 2025-2026 season, the second win of the Will Wade era. NC State got it done in an ugly affair, or not an ugly affair, but after an ugly first half, NC State was able to pull away and take care of business against the Alabama Birmingham Blazers. It was a not a hot shooting start for the Wolfpack. Started 0 of 12 from three before Paul McNeil drilled the three to kind of lift the lid on things. And not an ideal defensive start either. UAB had a lot of success attacking the rim in a it was a weird game. This game tipped off at 9 p.m. You could just see that NC State right out of the gate looked a little bit, not as locked in as they looked in that season opener. Part of that could just be, second game of the season against a mid-major or a low major program, mid-major, low major, kind of teetering. Um, but a solid program, a program that's been in the NCAA tournament under Andy Kennedy a few times. Kennedy, of course, has some history with NC State. He talked a little bit about that after the game. He said, don't believe everything you hear in the tabloids. Obviously, he was sort of rumored to contribute to the book that led to Jim Valvano's exit at NC State. I'm not going to get into all that, but you can believe what you want about his time here. And he was a 18-year-old that wanted to play more basketball. It's kind of the long or the short of it. But his team fought. They were physical. Didn't shoot the ball particularly well from three either. Finished 4 of 25, so they didn't really make NC State pay for some of its defensive issues, which Will Wade went on a prolonged rant about. You can see that on my Twitter if you're interested in the full clip. But he's really, really, there's no way to put it other than he was pissed off about this team's defense in the paint tonight. They gave up 44 points in the paint, and UAB kind of got whatever they wanted inside for much of the game. It was not pretty. They tied NC State with 44 points in the paint, as I said, um, and they were able to crash the offensive glass really well. Finished with 17 offensive rebounds to NC State's 11. But I think the difference in the game was NC State's ability to, again, just turn the defense on when it needed to. They forced 14 turnovers, had 14 of their own, so it didn't take tremendous advantage of those, but scored 21 points off of those turnovers and ended up shooting pretty efficiently from three, 33%, 10 of 30 after the 0 of 12 start, and shot 54% from the field. But the standout performers in this game, McNeil tied for the lead in scoring with Quadir Copeland, who was solid, but turned the ball over 4 times, looked a little bit more out of control than he has been. But he did knock down two threes, which is really promising given his 3-point prowess coming into the game. That was not something, and coming into the season, that was not something he was particularly good at McNeese. It was not something he liked to do. It's just not really his game. He wants to play downhill, but UAB played a zone a lot and sort of was willing to give him shots, and he wasn't afraid to take them. So he scored 18 on 5 of 7 shooting, drilled a couple threes, had 5 assists, but had 4 turnovers. And that's something they're going to have to live with him. But Wade was pretty pissed off also about his point guards, Trey Holloman and Copeland, combining for 7 turnovers. And that brings me to Darian Williams. Darian Williams is sort of the Scottie Pippen role for this team. I'm not saying he's Scottie Pippen, but he can play that point forward position. He can manage the ball. There were a couple plays where he was, on the low block, kind of directing traffic without the ball. There was one play where Terrence Arsenault was in the corner and Darian kind of directed him like he wanted the ball, but you could see his face. It almost I'm 99% sure he said, "Come on," as if to drive. And Arsenault drove middle around him. Arsenault's defender got caught up on Williams. Arsenault gets an easy layup. So this is a guy who's operating on a really, really high level. from an IQ standpoint. He's gonna help his teammates play to the best of their ability. And Wade even said, they're very lucky with how unselfish he is. He wants the team to win over his own personal performance. And when you have a guy like that who can go out and score 14 points and dish out 4 assists and get a steal and not turn the ball over and shoot 50% from the field, it's a pretty good combination. So uh, I continue to be really impressed with Darian Williams. Copeland and Holloman really need to clean up the turnovers if this team wants to compete at a high level. That's something that needs to be fixed because Copeland you can kind of live with, but when Holloman has 3 turnovers and then you get 3 from Van Allen Lubin, which were pretty uncharacteristic from him. He had trouble with fouls early in the game, had to come out, came back in, turned the ball over twice, and sort of stopped a run at the end of the first half that let UAB hang around a little bit. But I think the underrated hero of this game was Musa Sanye, the freshman from the Gambia. Came in. I think they really want to get him minutes early in the season because he was such a late addition, because he's really not played American basketball, having played in Spain and FIBA. So he's just learning the game a little bit. And these games are super valuable for that. And he came in, he scored 4 points, he hauled in 10 rebounds, he had a block, he had a steal, and he was really, really solid in those rotational minutes with Lubin in foul trouble. And, you know, he handled the back of this press pretty well on a night where some of the other guys really didn't. And that's something that they're going to continue to harp on. Wade is sort of locked in on this team's this team needs to have an obsessive attention to detail. He's now said that after the first 2 games, and they're not there yet, in his opinion. He says they're fair to middling in terms of attention to detail. So he wants to see a little bit more. And I think, they have the ingredients. And if Sanye can play the way that he did tonight, that's a really, really valuable tool off the bench in terms of his length. He's probably the tallest rotation player on the team, pushing 7 feet almost, maybe 6'10", 6'11". Um, but he can jump. He's got a little pogo stick feel to him. Offensively, he's a little bit limited, but he can make a layup. He can get you offensive rebounds. He's learning the physicality is a little bit different. You can't get away with some of the body checks that you get away with in FIBA, but if they can get him playing at a high level and his motor is such an asset in college basketball because you just don't have guys that know what it means to play uh know what it means to play professional basketball already. That's until this year that wasn't really a thing. And now, we're getting these G League guys, we're getting guys from Europe. And I think, you can say that he doesn't have the experience, but he's played a lot of basketball already. He's pretty young. And I think they view him as kind of silly putty that they can mold into what they want him to be. And if he can be that five that can come in off the bench when they need some size and get rebounds and block shots, that's going to go a long way for this team because they don't have a ton of size and they're going to need him against some of the ACC competition that does have size. So the more minutes they can get him like tonight where he looked great, the better moving forward. Um, there, it wasn't a perfect game in stretches, but when this team gets out and runs the fast break, this team can really run the fast break. They only scored 12 points, but Williams is a guy who can dish it out. Copeland is electric in transition. Holloman can get out and run a little bit. McNeil even showed an ability to get out and run a little bit. And then you got guys off the bench like Matt Abel, who wasn't as good as his debut, but came in, played some solid defense. Made 1 3-pointer in the game. was able to get some rebounds from the guard position, which is something that Wade really wants. Because of this team's lack of size, the guards are going to have to be there because those undersized bigs are going to be blocking out, and the guards got to come in and clean things up. But a little bit, how do I say? Not sure what's going on with Terrence Arsenault because he started the game against South Carolina, came out, didn't play a lot tonight. Wade mentioned something about his Achilles bugging him after the first game. He's a piece that this team is going to need, especially defensively in terms of depth. So they're going to need to. I don't know what's going to happen there, but they got to find a way to get him right because you can't rely on Matt Abel every night yet. That could change for sure because he's going to get more experience and his eyes are going to get more and more locked in. He's not going to have those freshman eyes in a big game as the season goes on. So you're still going to need Arsenal. I think his defense is so valuable, and we saw tonight that he can come in and kind of give you a little bit of offense, and I think that's sort of a limitation of his. So we'll see what's going on there. But back to Darian Williams, and then I'll wrap things up. He has a calming effect on this team when it really needs that. I think Lubin does to an extent too. Like when they need a bucket, those two in a little pick and roll action or some low post operation, they're really good. Really, really good. And Williams is kind of that guy that he's in the right place in the right time. Like he had a couple layups where he just wasn't contested whatsoever because he snuck behind the defender and was just like, "Hey, I'm here." Layup, bang. But when you have veterans like that who can kind of slow things down for these younger guys, for these guys that haven't been in these moments yet, that can go a really long way in the postseason. And this is a team that was built for the postseason. I do believe that this was a team that, the regular season, while important, is kind of a moot point once you get to March because the seed lines don't matter at that point. Of course, NC State would love to have a double bye in the ACC tournament. NC State would love to be better than what they're projected to be in the NCAA tournament, which is an 8 seed. And I think with the pieces that they have, this team's going to be really tough to beat down the stretch of games because they have these veterans who have been there. And these guys, I know they haven't really played anybody yet, but they're able to just kind of calm everything down. And Copeland has experience too, but he's a guy who goes at one pace, which is his pace, and that's a fast one. But when you have the mix of really three playmakers on the floor at a given time in Copeland, Holloman, and Williams, that's a really, really dynamic group that can pass. They're very unselfish, and they already have chemistry. And I don't think it's going to get worse over the course of the season. They have unselfish players, so you think that's only going to get better. And as we saw tonight, McNeil and Copeland kind of carried the brunt of the scoring load. That can happen. You're going to have nights where Lubin's going to dominate inside and Williams is going to get his. You're going to have nights where Holloman's going to get his. You're going to have nights where Matt Abel can score double digits off the bench. There's just this team can hit you from so many different sides. And I think that's going to be really, really interesting to see over the course of a full season how they develop in that sense. Because if they can figure some things out defensively, which I have no doubt that's Will Wade's identity, this could be a dangerous squad. I know it's November, doesn't mean anything. Really doesn't mean anything. They played 2 games. I'm probably overreacting, but um, you know, in terms of the player evaluation, the pieces are there. The ingredients are in the soup, and it's just going to be about the seasoning, and I don't know where I'm going with this. It's late. It's after 1 a.m. and we're doing a podcast because I wanted to do it for the people tonight. Make sure you had it tomorrow morning. The soup's good. That's the end of that anecdote or that metaphor or whatever the hell I'm talking about now. But the soup is good when it's good and it's good. And I don't think UAB is going to be a bad team. I really don't. I think Andy Kennedy always seems to find a way. They got some talent. That Jacob Meyer kid got after it in the first half. Only scored once in the second half. Defense was a lot better, but they got some guys, and Andy Kennedy has figured it out in the past, and I think he'll figure it out again. That team's really going to be interesting to see over the course of a full season in a weaker American conference. I'm not really sure, who will come out of there this season, just because the mid majors are weird now. It's not the same as it was. But I'll wrap it up. NC State back in action next Wednesday. The women are in action in another ranked game on Sunday. I'll be there for the people. If you want coverage of that, hit us up. Hit me up on Twitter at Senate Tucker. Hit up the website's Twitter account at Wolfpack on SI. There'll probably be a podcast after that game on the Sports Videos on SI YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to and watch. There you go. All the NC State coverage you'll ever need right on those three platforms. As always, thanks for kicking it with me, talking some ball. Hope you guys enjoy this, and we'll see you next time.